With Marc Dos Santos. So again, if you want to queue up, please, in the chat function for question order, and we'll get started right away. Good afternoon, Mark. Corey, go ahead, please.
Hi, Mark. Thanks for joining us again. Obviously, coming off the defeat on the weekend, what was your first kind of approach in training, getting back to training? What was the first thing you really looked at with the guys?
The first thing we looked at was to address a couple of problems we had against Sporting Kansas City, and we went through not only a video training session, but also repeat things on the field that would allow us to become better if we have to deal with a situation like that again. I think it was a good morning for us today. We were able to get a lot of good things done and a lot of good things out. So the guys are back at it and ready to attack the next game.
Is there any change as far as availability with your personnel coming up on Houston? Do you have any guys that will be available this game that perhaps you didn't have last game?
Look, we'll have everybody available for this game. The problem is, and I don't want to talk about names because I don't want to. The problem is that we have guys that are not 100% match fit. That we have to manage, but at least we're working with a full roster with nobody with injury problems.
Final one from me, Mark. I'm sure you've had some early looks at Houston. They're coming off a bit of a shaky loss. I believe it was against Colorado. Is there anything you've seen early from them that you want to implement into your guys to look forward to?
Yes.
Thanks, Mark.
You want me to tell you? Yes.
Okay, awesome.
You know, it's, I'll tell you this about Houston. What I'll tell you about Houston is that the Western Division is so close. Teams with very close amount of points. Everybody losing, everybody drawing, everybody winning. It's a very tight division, and every game is by details that it's played. So it's going to be another Western Division difficult game. That's what I'm going to say.
Awesome. Thanks, Mark.
Thank you.
Thanks, Corey. JJ, go ahead.
Hey, Mark. Good to see you.
Hey, nice to see you, JJ.
Hopefully I'll get more than a one-word answer out of you. You mentioned Houston and their loss. They've kind of had some inconsistent results this season. Is that a reflection of the Western Conference, as you say?
I think so. I think so. Let's not forget that their last home game is a win 1-0 against a team that we struggled a lot against. That was Sporting Kansas City. So it shows how the division is. Every game has its own story. You can look at the last game of the opponent only and judge. We're not only looking at the last game they played, we're also looking at the last home game they played and how it looked like. So, you know, every game has its own story, and we just have to be at our best. We're working on improving our team while looking at Houston, of course, but our concern is to improve what we want to be about.
Right. You mentioned that there were some things that KC did that gave you guys some problems. Now that you've had a chance to sort of reflect on those and work on those, can you explain a little more what they did?
Yeah, I'll give you an example. When they build up with three, they build up with using Gramzuzi, Sanchez, and Fontas, and then Buzio would play in front of them. And we didn't press the first ball with our front line in the right way. And then when Fontas would have the ball, Ryan sometimes was in between Fontas and Martins. And when they would play the ball on the left side, they would create an overload because us being halfway and all that front pressure. And that's the major problem we had in our first half, was really deal with the overload on that side and not having good enough pressure in the front. When the pressure in the front is not good, it's a trickle effect, it's a domino effect, and then we end up backing off a lot, and we didn't look at all like the team that I want us to be. But when you evaluate a game like that, being the third game in 9 days and some changes that had to be made, we don't want to throw what we did in the first 5 games all in the garbage because of one game. I think there was a lot of positive things in the first 5 games. We had come off of one of our, probably our best game in Minnesota this season, where we didn't win the game, but we played a very good game in Minnesota. And then we played our worst game in Kansas City. So we have to evaluate things very well. The confidence of the guys is good. We know what we did wrong in Kansas City, and we paid the price for it. At the end, we lost against a team that deserved to win. We have to evaluate that and move forward.
Coming into the season, you talked about how you wanted to get some results from the first 4 games. We're past that point now. How are you feeling about what you guys have accomplished in the first part of the season here?
I think it was important to get points in the first 6 games. It was really important, but now we have a big one in Houston before the break. What I wanted, JJ, is to make sure that before this break, where we had such a struggle in the beginning of the season when it comes to preparation, I wanted the club to be in a playoff fight, in a playoff race. And that after Houston, we will be. Everybody's going to be close to that top 7. So I guarantee you that after the Houston game, we'll be close or in a playoff spot. And that's what we wanted before the break, to make sure that now we have this break to work with everybody together, to finally have our real preseason with everybody together and be ready to attack the next 27 games. That's what's in our head. And for sure that after the break, after Houston, we'll be in the fight like everybody will in the West. That's how I feel. Look, Sporting Kansas City had the preseason with everybody together. All of the guys that were on the field were present in preseason. They were in Arizona. They played a lot of exhibition games, and they're just in a different spot than we are right now. And I think we felt it in the game. We have some catching up to do due to, again, some guys never even put a foot in Vancouver, so I think we still have work to do to get the roster together.
Excellent. And hopefully we might see that after the break, a little more complete roster.
I hope. I hope. Some things are just difficult to explain, and I can't do it.
No, that's not your job either. All right. Thanks, Marc. Appreciate it.
Thanks, JJ.
Thanks, JJ. Go ahead, Hart.
Hi, Marc. How's it going? It's nice to see you today.
Hey, nice to see you too.
Thanks. I had a question about Lucas Cavallini. What have you liked from his game overall this season? And what are some kind of areas he can improve on, as he has 1 goal so far?
Yeah, I think that Lucas is a player that attacks the box better than anyone. When he's able to attack the box, like plays that you saw against Minnesota, the headers he got into the box, and those moments make him a forward that we want to see. So we need to make sure that our other players get in areas that they could provide that service into the box for him. Right now, because of the characteristics of players that we have, he's a player that's playing very far from the box, and we're trying to fix that with other kind of ideas that you're going to see in the game against Houston. He's grown in that area of playing away from the box, but that's not his best characteristic. So we just want to make sure that we help him always being in his strengths. What I like from him is his workload, the work without the ball, how he works for the team, but now we need to provide him in a better service inside the box.
With the break coming up for a few weeks after this game, are players going to be getting the second COVID shots? Do you have any information in regards to that?
We already got it on Monday.
And did everyone have flying colors? Were there any side effects or any issues with that?
No, everybody's fine. For
And
now,
with- For now.
for now, everybody's reacting well.
That's great. And with the break coming up, are players going to be staying in Utah? Will they get time off? Will anyone be coming back to
They will
Vancouver? Do
have-
you know?
They will have some time off. They'll have like 4 days and a half off. And some are returning to Vancouver. Others are staying in Utah.
Thanks, Coach. Good luck.
Thank you very much.
Thanks, Har. Manuel, go ahead, please.
Yeah, hey Mark, how's it going? Long time no see.
How are you?
I'm good. I saw a really interesting transfer today, and I kind of want to get your opinion on this Thales Magno guy who's gone to New York City FC. We've heard lots of reports about Vancouver scouting in Brazil as well. Brazil seems to be a very hot market in general for MLS. And is this the sort of player that you guys are looking at as well? Or
You're saying Magno you're talking about?
yeah, Magno.
Yeah. I want to talk about the market.
Mhm.
South America, like any other countries, live a lot because of their fans. When I think about a club that I know very well, like Palmeiras, that I was there, the importance it is to have fans to generate revenue is huge. In a club like Corinthians, São Paulo, Palmeiras, even Flamengo, that is Maracanã always has 80% packed. When you look at teams like that play a huge amount of home games in a season because of the state championship and the Brasileirão, the fans make a big difference. When you're almost 2 years without fans, it generates less money and more crisis. Then when a club has a little bit more crisis and have to sell player, the quality of their players is very high. Brazil has a market and quality extremely high. And of course that it becomes an interesting market. Maybe players that I'm just shooting numbers, okay, to give you an idea, but
Yeah.
players that in a normal situation were 10 million to buy, now many of them, of those 10 million, became 5 million. I don't know if Soteldo would have went to Toronto if the Villa Belmiro was always packed for Santos, you know? So of course it generates more of an economical crisis in the country in football, and then very good players have a market value that was high that became lower because the club needs to sell, and it's a market that we're incredibly attentive to 100%.
So was Magno the sort of player that you guys were looking at too, or is it maybe a little bit of a different kind of...
Look, I respect your question, but I think I answered your question well.
Okay. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much.
Thanks, Manuel.
And I'll tell you, just wait a minute. I'll tell you why. Let's get educated here. You're not talking with a guy that never worked there. I worked 3 years there. So I'm not a guy that falls like a parachute. Some people throw things about markets, but never lived there. I lived there. I was next to agents every day there. I know the market there. And sometimes if I just say about a player, yes or no, we've been seeing it.
Yeah, that's fair.
There's an ability to amplify so big. Why? Because they want to value some assets they have. And if the coach of the Whitecaps said, oh, yes, we looked at a player like him, in Brazil, if somebody reads right away, Whitecaps interested. And so I prefer just to tell you that it's a market that we are incredibly attentive to.
Yeah.
And a player like him or other players, yes, we looked at players of those characteristics.
Okay. That is a very fair answer. Thank you so much.
Thank you very much, Emmanuel. Thanks, man.
Thanks, Manuel. Sebastian, go ahead, please.
Hey, Mark. Hope you're doing well. It's been a while.
Hey.
I was just wondering, Javane Brown obviously came on for his first professional appearance on the weekend against SKC. I was just wondering if you could talk a little bit about him and how he's been adjusting with the team and training.
If you asking me is because you liked him a little bit, right?
Maybe, yeah.
No,
for
it's
sure.
fair to tell me. You could tell me, guys, that you like. I'm okay with that. I could agree or disagree. But I'll tell you this. If Javane got called for the U20 and U23 national team of Jamaica and is considered in the squad for the Gold Cup, it's because he has qualities that are good. Then we drafted him, and we know of another club in MLS that was really interested in drafting him, and I understand why. Javane has incredible qualities physically. He's a guy technically, he's good on the ball too. But it's a player that in college played in a back three as one of the three center backs, but also played as a right back with the national team. So it's a player that has been growing in training here, but his process, again, like many guys here, has been late. So it's another player that we had to kind of accelerate the process. So that's that has been the tough part for us, not being able to just get everybody right away on the same page. But again, I think with the break, we're going to be able to do that. And Javane is one of those guys. But I think he has all the tools and conditions to fight for a spot in the team for sure.
Thanks, Mark. Just one more from me here. We saw Eric Godoy as well make his first appearance of the season against SKC over the weekend. Obviously, Andy Rose is out with an injury as well now with an abductor strain.
No, Andy trained today. Just
he
an
trained
heads
today.
up on that. Yeah,
Okay.
I told Corey, I think it was Corey,
okay.
that I answered that everybody's available. Now, is everybody at 100? No, but everybody's available to play. And Andy trained normally, and he didn't look like a guy that was struggling with anything in training. So that's about Andy. Yeah.
I see. And onto Godoy. How much does he bring to the field? Obviously, he's got a
So
lot of experience in Argentina, and
yeah,
yeah.
you're asking me because I feel your question. I'm not. I can't use that word. I'm not upset at your question. I think you're saying it because you think that too. What happens is that at that point against Sporting Kansas City, we felt that it would be very hard for us to come back in a game like that. There's games that you just feel that the opponent is superior and you're behind and it's hard to come back. And then you think about, okay, let's go. Let's give rhythm to guys that we feel are getting back to full fitness to play. And that's what we did with guys like Javane or even guys like Eric Godoy. Then you also sometimes use games like that are more difficult to give more minutes to younger guys for them to feel the field more and experience game more, like we did with Kama Bibula. That's another example. But coming back to Eric, there's no doubt that Eric brings something different with the tools that he has. He's probably maybe the most comfortable player we have in possession, and a player that anticipates and reads the play very well. So he helps in that position. And yes, in a young team, because we do have a young team, nobody against Kansas City, nobody played that was 30 years old. Everybody was U27 pretty much. And it brings what Eric brings is that experience from a lot of games in Argentina and also games with us. So we hope we could count on him because we feel it a little bit when he's not on the field with the team.
Thanks so much, Mark. Wishing you the best down there in Utah. Take care.
Thank you very much. Thanks.
Thanks, Seb. Alex, go ahead.
Hey, Mark. Hope you're doing well.
Hey, Alex.
Just one from me. More kind of following up on what I asked the other day when I was kind of talking about the 4-3-3. Obviously, we've talked a lot about the break here. How does having that break, that month-long break, affect your preparation for Houston, knowing that after that game, you've got 4 weeks to pour over data, see what's worked, see what's not, because you've mentioned.
No, you're bringing a great point in, and it's what we want to do, Alex. So first, it's so important that for the group and for the confidence of the group that we don't throw our first 5 games in the garbage just because the game in Kansas City was of a very low standard. We know that. We know it was a low standard. We're not happy with it. But we did a lot of good things in our first 5 games. So we have to consider that going into Houston. We have to consider that also for the confidence and the belief of the group, because they are confident as a group. And then after the Houston, we have a break. Like I said, after the Houston game, I guarantee you that we're going to be very close or in a playoff line. Everything's going to be close in our division. And then we go into a break that with our data department, performance, numbers, looking at with the guys that we have here right now and not thinking about who's not here, because it doesn't help. It doesn't help me as a coach to think, oh, if I had this position or if I had this guy, I would do this and that. That's a huge waste of time. I have to think with the guys that we have and with the players that we have, what is our best team? How do we create more? How do we generate more? And that is something to do during the break. Even I'll give you another one. Even when we're in the road in games like Seattle, LAFC, Sporting Kansas City, how do we approach those games? Is there, can we have some tactical flexibility to?
Thanks, Alex. Mark, appreciate your time this afternoon.
Thank you very much.
Have a
Is
great
it
week.
raining there?
No, it's partially sunny. Beautiful
Good
week.
for you guys.
Thanks, Mark.
Thanks, guys. Take care. Bye-bye.